This is our first event with Zoom. My name is Adam, founder of Startup Network Europe. And today we're talking about a very important topic for startups and also for big companies, hybrid work strategies for 2024. I'm from Startup Network Europe. We've done 117 events since 2021. And we started off completely online. Now we do a lot of in-person events, and now we're doing more and more hybrid events. So this is a really exciting webinar for us as well. Our speakers for today, we're going to kick off with a keynote about navigating the future of hybrid work. And we have two people for this. We'll have Magnus, who is a CIO advisor at Zoom, and he'll give more background on his background. And then we'll have Sam, who's an IT operations manager at Synthesia, which is a very exciting AI company. And Sam will talk more about that later as well. So that's the first half an hour of the event. And then after that, we'll have a panel. Magnus will rejoin us in the panel. Well, rapid fire talks, I should say. And then we'll have Caroline, who is Chief People Officer at Snappy Group. She's also a founding member of Chief UK. Then we'll have Joanne, Alexia, who is Chief People Officer at Philosofish. She will be joining us from Greece. And we'll also have Onaolapo, who is Chief People Officer at Filmhouse Group. We will have Cav, who is Chief People Officer at Yondr Group. And we'll have Andreia, who is CEO at Zenite Talent. So that's the webinar, my very quick introduction. Thanks to everyone for joining today. We will do some polls during the webinar. We'll keep everything interactive. At one point, we'll open up the chat. And please, in the question and answers, ask the questions that you want to ask, because we've got very good speakers today, and they'll be very interactive to your needs as well. So thank you very much. And we will get started with Sam and Magnus. Thank you.
Going to kick off. So good morning, everyone. And thanks, Adam. Well done on founding this actually fantastic group. We're really, really delighted for you to see such, an interactive community. It's great to be here with Sam Williams from Synthesia. My name's Magnus Falk. And as part of a portfolio career, I'm what's called a CIO advisor at Zoom. I really have the best job on the planet. And let me explain. As you can possibly see, I'm probably in the end stage of my career. I'm an engineer turned technologist. I've been a CTO. I've been a CIO in industries diverse as government and financial services. And I did that for over 25 years. And thereafter, for the last 10 years or so, I've had a portfolio career as an interim leader, a non-executive director, an advisor. I've had some great gigs, and today sit on the boards of a bank, a broker-dealer, and the Serious Fraud Office. In 2019, before the pandemic, an old friend of mine, who was the CIO of a fast-growing 8-year-old startup, called with a really odd request. Though he was the CIO, he was in great demand by clients to discuss and advise how the company's product could help transform businesses. The company was now growing fast in EMEA, and my friend just didn't have enough hours in the day to deal with the demand. And so he called me and asked if I could be him for a couple of days a week in EMEA. I looked at the company, absolutely loved what I saw. Brilliant. So I could squeeze in for a day, a week, and I signed up. My love affair with Zoom started then. And this was all pre-pandemic, and the 1 day a week turned into 7 days a week as the world found Zoom in March 2020 to help them continue their lives, their work, their education. And since starting, I've then been helping Zoom with that growth in EMEA, talking with boards, with businessmen and technologists about how the world was changing. And this change was really being driven by the new possibilities with collaboration. I've worked with many Zoom clients, large and small, as they transformed how they interact with, well, together as individuals, within teams, and how they communicate across their firms. And also, most have had a revolution in how they serve their customers. And many have built entirely new business lines as a result. Some talk about the future of work. My observation is the future is really today. Of course, That future continues to morph as the technology advances and workforces adapt, and really the changes in values and culture find their way. The future work really, though, is all about making people's experiences better. And if we're being honest, focusing more deeply on the employee experience is a big pivot from the way things used to be. Not just pre-pandemic, but really over the last many decades. And when it comes to your teams, if you think just paying them well enough is incentive to keep them engaged and satisfied, well, think again. And I look forward to discussing that with some of our HR leaders later. Strong, engaged workforces come from improved employee experiences. And these are essential components in driving growth, profitability, and sustainability for your venture. And the same is true for maintaining and deepening a loyal customer base. Enjoyable customer experience is really everything. And best in breed customer experience is the result of two things: engaged employees delivering exceptional human support, and of course, the right technology that helps them do that seamlessly and efficiently. And there are some common themes that I see leaders grapple with as they embrace this future of work. The first is there is strong demand for hybrid work. People want flexibility, but they all want different things. Yet they're prepared to give and take to meet the demands of their team and their businesses, but they want it to be a discussion at the team level rather than a top-down mandate. Sometimes people even want to be in the workplace more than their business wants them to be. It's a discussion, but flexibility will win and retain the best. Secondly, workspaces need to be right for digital natives. Flexible work styles need flexible spaces. They need to be modern to support true collaboration in a hybrid way. Interactive whiteboards, spaces that give loads of collaboration options, spaces that work for hybrid. Third, everyone gets the possibility of meeting intelligence. Writing stuff up well takes time. Action items need recording. A record may be needed. Whiteboard layouts need to be set up. If minutes and hours can be shaved off your team's work days because these tasks are speeded up by intelligent software, then everyone wins. Fourth, cloud, but open to interoperability. Absolutely table stakes today. Any software that tries to hook you in and give you limited choices will eventually go the way of all monopolists. It's not good for you and it's not good for business. And finally, there's a focus on security and privacy. With any leap forward in technology, we have to revisit how to keep our businesses safe. And with new tools comes new power, and along with that, increased data security concerns. So what is Zoom doing to help? Well, the first thing is Zoom is now a platform with so many collaboration tools that effortlessly work together through an interface that works on all your devices. Chat, workspace reservation, contact center, phone, whiteboard, smart room support, email, so much more. You may have thought it's just video. Well, think again. It's all open and interoperable. We interoperate brilliantly with Google. You know, Google is the default at Zoom. We have out-of-the-box integrations with thousands of your cloud solutions, and most allow interaction with their software directly through Zoom Team Chat. For example, Zendesk, Workday, Salesforce, Confluence, GitHub, just to name a few. AI is built in, giving better video, sound experiences, transcription that originally differentiated Zoom and still does. But Gen AI is now part of the platform and free with any paid license. That's free with any paid license. It summarizes meetings and chat and more. It creates recommended content like replies. It retrieves information in real time. It completes tasks for you. And by the end of the year, we'll coach and teach. And we're doing all this in a way that supports the federated use of various emerging tools. We don't say use our large language model. You can use your own, other people's. You can work in a federated way and in a highly responsible way. Zoom will not train our models or allow any third-party model to be trained on your data. So I hope you realize Zoom will make you happy. But you didn't just come here to listen to me. Sam, can I ask you to tell us about yourself and your role at Synthesia? I'm terrible at getting that right.
No worries. I don't think everyone struggles with it at the start. I certainly did when I first joined. But obviously, thank you, Magnus. Hello, everyone. As Magnus says, my name's Sam Williams. I'm the IT Ops Manager here at Synthesia. I've been here coming up to a year next week. So to give you a little bit of a background, Synthesia, if you don't know, is a AI platform that allows people to make video easy, accessible, and there's no need for any studios, massive cameras, and most of all, it's effective and professional, and you can do it very quickly using AI. But enough about that. Here on to talk about obviously the workspace and the hybrid working with Magnus here. So as I say, been here a year. When I joined, there was about 80 people. We're now approaching the 300 all in a year. So as you can imagine, there's been a huge transition on not only how we operate internally, but also externally, and the technologies we use to provide our employees to be able to work wherever, whenever, and also in office as well. And Zoom has been a major part of that.
So how many markets, how many countries, how many different places do you actually work in? I mean, I suppose there's two. Which markets do you cover, and from where do you cover them?
I think the easiest is employees. We have several offices. Our main one is in London. We've just expanded, so we've now got 100 seats in office. We've got Amsterdam, Copenhagen, New York, and one in Slovenia as well. So our head office is London, fully kitted out, full expansion. Market side, we're pretty much seeing customers in nearly every country. It's a huge kind of expansion. I think, as everyone has seen, generative AI has been huge, especially in the last probably 6 to 8 months. And we've kind of just seen the demand for it, especially not only just commercial, but also personal users, has been massive. Like it's interesting to see the dashboards and like the numbers just tick along when you refresh it, and it's just incredible. And that demand right now is huge, and we've had to do many things to sustain that growth. Probably similar to you guys at Zoom. Like you have a platform that can sustain a certain amount, and then suddenly once you get on that rocket, it becomes a lot harder. And you just got to make sure the infrastructure is there just to support it, because there's nothing worse than customers trying a product and it doesn't work because the demand is there. Like no one likes buffering on Netflix. No one likes buffering when it's generative AI either. So.
Buffering makes no one happy, Sam. But Sam, you was telling me that you started off in a remote work style, and then you as a business decided to go hybrid. What drove that decision making, and then how did you execute it, and what was crucial in it? Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so when I first joined, as I say, nearly a year ago, it was basically a remote only company. We hired, and we didn't want where we had offices limit to our talent pool that we wanted to hire. And as we founded in 2017, 18, 19, that remote work was just starting, and then obviously the pandemic hit, and everyone was moving to remote working, and we're like, hey, let's just keep it at remote working, get those talents in wherever country we can go. Why should we be limited to just the UK, Europe, and stuff? So our talent team went out and found some amazing talents in various countries. I think we've got eastern and western sides, and then as the pandemic kind of settled down and everyone became more collaborative over Zoom and other technologies, we were like, hey, we need to be trying things in person. The big thing, obviously, R&D teams bounce off each other just like salespeople bounce off each other in person. And as amazing as remote platforms enable that, in person was a big thing for us. We wanted to head down, write on whiteboards, and bounce the ideas off in a meeting room. So we kind of said, look, let's put some money into our offices, make them a welcoming place, make them an amazing place, not only just as homely, but also technical as well. And I'll touch on that in a minute. And it just kind of naturally happened. Like people were coming into the office, and there wasn't a leadership going out and going, you've got to be in two days a week, 3 days a week. leadership is very open. They're like, you come in as much or as little as you want, but our offices are here. You can work from any office that you wish. And people just took that on board and just kind of wandered in, and it all happened.
So you just had a kind of total flexibility policy.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we weren't, leadership didn't come to us and say, you've got to be in 2 days a week, you've got to be one day. It was left up to us because, everyone has lives and everyone has that kind of, head down focus time. And also everyone wants to be around each other at the same time.
So what conversations did you see happening amongst teams to say, because there's something about, I'd like to be in the office, but I'd like to be in the office at the same time as, my team, because, I want to do this. And, I want to be in on a Tuesday, but I don't want to find everyone else is on the Thursday. So what kind of conversation started happening as people worked out what flexibility meant for them?
Yeah, obviously the biggest hurdle was obviously where we were remote initially. We have teams spread about, and our biggest one from the company was, hey, how can we make those remote people in countries that don't have an office feel as part of the people who are in the office? And that came down to, right, okay, technology. What technology is available out there that we can kind of bring them together? And naturally, Zoom was already there for our sales team and for the go-to-market teams. And I said to the business, like, hey, like, why should sales have the best technology? Like, we're using Google Meet internally and stuff. And we spoke to the business and said, look, sales shouldn't, and the go-to-market shouldn't just use Zoom. We should have that collaborative across the whole of the company. If we're wanting to bring teams together in a virtual and in person, like, we need to use the technology to make it feel like it. So we buckled down, we rolled out Zoom internally to every employee, and we still do. And we're like, right, okay, let's overhaul our meeting rooms. Our meeting room was just a camera under a TV, and someone plugged in their laptop, and I was like, look, no, that's not how it's going to work. We need it to be professional and easy to use. So we installed a Zoom room and made it seamless. People can come in wirelessly, share their laptops. There's a whiteboard with a camera that detects writing on it and publishes the whiteboard into the Zoom meeting, and that enabled mainly the R&D team and the product teams to have in-person meetings and be together, but also remotely be as if they were in that meeting room. And the feedback I've had from those whiteboard sessions and those remote sessions is they couldn't believe the technology was there. Like, when people have then visited the office and seen the tech, they're like, hey, it's just a whiteboard with a camera above it. And we're like, yeah, it's simple but so effective. And that was our biggest kind of thing, was let's invest in the technology to make people who are fully remote part of the office at the same time when the teams are in. And that just rippled throughout various teams. Sales is huge. Like, sales has their own section. I think people have just naturally kind of started just coming in now with their other teams.
I talked about finding that people wanted flexibility, but they all wanted different things. Did you find that there were any situations where you just couldn't accommodate what someone wanted?
Not fully. I think the biggest thing for any business, I think, from an employee experience, is having that flexibility, like listening to people's feedback, listening to what everyone wants. Like, we can't provide everything for everyone, but if we can provide it for the majority, we can do that for them with the various technologies out there. But having them in that office, I think Synthesia has done an amazing job in making that kind of space at home. Like, you don't see people just walk in at 9 and then leave at 5. Like, we see people staying till 9, 10 o'clock at night, and that's because they're not only passionate about what they're doing for Synthesia, but also because of the atmosphere that we've built in our offices. But again, like, people zoom in till 8, 9 o'clock. I see the stats in the Zoom dashboard, and I'm like, wow, like, our meeting minutes are even up in the evenings, let alone during the day.
So, I mean, it sounds like you had a strong demand for hybrid work. It sounds like you built workspaces that kind of met that need for digital natives, and you talked about the kind of modernizing the technology and getting that right. Have you started to see people embrace all the meeting intelligence tools? The kind of things that start allowing you to summarize. Have you switched them on, and have you seen people kind of wowed by them, or what's the
Yeah,
situation?
so I mean, the demand is huge. I think it's, you know, people are eager to try every single AI feature out there. Obviously, you mentioned at the start, obviously security and privacy is a huge thing, and Zoom and Synthesia have a very high, you know, requirement for security and privacy. So not only in our product, but also our vendors that we use. So we go through quite a strict due diligence process internally to ensure what we're using and turning on is up to, you know, our compliance and security policies. But yeah, my Slack is constantly pinging with links to AIs and links to all these products going, can we turn this feature on? Can we have this? And can we have that? And
Yeah,
the most I want to do is go, yeah, of course. Like if it makes your life easier, then that's the whole point. The big downside is that balance between making people's lives easier and being secure and privacy. So we've got various AI tools out there that we use. You know, meeting, especially in the go-to-market side, we use various AI tools that are, you know, summarizes, picks up on, you know, filler words. So AEs can kind of see if they're filling in, you know, between the blanks. I'm guilty of it most of the time. But what it does is basically enables those kind of go-to-market teams to analyze, and it goes off to their, you know, various reporting structures to see, you know, did they mention, you know, who's your CIO or who's your CTO or who's your stakeholders, those kind of keywords, and it analyzes that so the sales team can go, okay, I need to focus more on, you know, for my next call to get that important information, which obviously helps Synthesia get out into the market as well. And I'm sure it's probably the same for Zoom salespeople as well. So to answer your question, I mean, AI is huge, and the demand for it internally is massive. So we try and utilize as many AI tools as we can.
And so I talked earlier about the kind of cloud and interoperability being kind of, you know, absolutely non-negotiable in, you know, in any startup environment. Have you started to integrate the other solutions that you use into team chat, for example, so people can stay in team chat and interact with those tools? Is that a to-do, or are you well down that road already?
Yeah, so we have everything in the cloud. We don't have anything on-prem aside from our amazing studio, which people can go and get their avatar filmed. That's probably our only kit that is physically owned by us. Everything else is in the cloud, and that just enables, you know, the flexibility for us. We follow up. Our internal calls are all in Zoom, and we use the chat function, the poll function. And we take that away, and then we go into Slack, which is our main intercommunication tool that we use. And you know, for us, it was interesting because I came from a place that was very email heavy, and then came here, and I was like, oh, like in my first week, I was like, why am I not getting emails? Am I not in like these email threads anymore, or like that? Everything's just now in Slack, and it's probably the same in, you know, no matter what technology you use. Once you take on that instant messaging, and I call it instant messaging. People kind of think just because someone's instant message, I got to reply straight away. We don't have that here. We, you know, it's just the same as an email. You wouldn't reply to it straight away. We don't expect instant messaging to be replied to straight away. It's, you know, all about productivity and focus, and you know, you get to it when you can, and that's the biggest thing. And it again combines and allows people from wherever you are to be a part of a team. You know, you've got the channels, you've got, you know, even silly channels, like we have a virtual coffee channel whereby it randomly picks people, and you know, you then jump in a Zoom and you talk about a random subject it comes up to, just so that we can bring those remote people and also in office people together and have those conversations, because when you are remote, you can struggle with that connection between, you know, employees.
So you talked about Slack. Did you look at Zoom Team Chat, or is that the conversion that's still to come? There is a conversion tool, by the way.
Well, I mean, I looked at the conversion tool to move to Zoom Teams. I think obviously where we, you know, a very fast-paced development for our product. Slack is integral, just as Zoom is internal. So
it's quite hard to make those shifts, isn't it?
Yeah, and what we evaluate is what are we going to gain from doing that, if that makes sense. And obviously, it's amazing to save costs, and you would save costs in Slack and vice versa. But what are we then going to lose in productivity? You know, we have so many integrations. You know, we have Zoom integrated with Slack. Like you can join a Zoom. So it's that bigger picture from an IT perspective that I have to kind of analyze for the business and say, hey, like, yeah, we got this new product, or we got an existing vendor that's released a product that we could use that would replace this. But that's just not a simple yes, no answer. It's okay, what is the impact not only for the business, but for our employees? You touched on it earlier that a pay packet doesn't just keep an employee anymore. It's for an IT perspective, it's the technology we use as well. Like if you make it easy for an employee to work, and with the exciting technologies that are out there, they're going to be excited to start their day. Where, you know, if you're using your legacy systems, it's just like, oh, okay, like it's just another same day. So you got to enhance the employee experience, not just through policies and amazing benefits, but the technology at the end of the day. Like use the best out there, and people, you know, for us from that day one should be the best day that they've ever seen tech.
So, I mean, clearly you're making the point, and maybe I'm, put words in your mouth, that the future of hybrid work is unimaginable without Zoom. But what's the takeaway that, you know, that the people attending this, from your experiences of going from remote to hybrid, you know, as you grew, what's the one lesson, the one thing that maybe you found out that would be a useful takeaway for the participants? I kind of put you on the spot here.
No, it's good. I think the easiest thing for especially startups, and I've seen it before, is hey, like let's just sign up to Google Workspace or Microsoft Office or whatever that kind of core package is, and you get products with it, and you're like, okay, well, that's all I ever need. And that could be fine for, you know, 5, 10, 15 employees, but it gets to a point where when you get big enough, you need to offer everyone that same. And Synthesia was the same. We had Google Workspaces, and the business was like, hey, like we got Google Meet, like why do we need anything else? But the experience wasn't the same for an employee, but also the customer, the external person we're having that call with, it just wasn't the same using those tools. So that's why we invested in using Zoom across the business. And that's the biggest thing I can say to people is just because you're getting it as part of a package doesn't mean it's right for you or right for your business or right for your customers. You got to evaluate that as a whole package and invest in those technologies to enable your growth, because, you know, without your employees, you're not going to get customers. Without your customers, you're not going to get your employees. Like it goes hand in hand for me. And, you know, you've got to invest in both. And for me and for Synthesia, it was, you know, let's get Zoom on board. Let's get everyone on the same platform using the same. And we saw, you know, a much better kind of return in both our, you know, feedback on those customer calls and internal calls.
Great. I mean, Sam, we're going to have to bring it to a close there, because we're going to go on to the panel session. There are a couple of Q&As. There's one particularly for you about workplace innovation. So if you could go into the Q&A and you know, type an answer, that would be great. You have a look at those on your as we put you on the bench and bring the other panelists over. But thank you so much indeed for your insights today. It's really important to kind of think about the principles, but actually hear about them in real life, because it's real life that's important. So thanks for sharing your experiences.
No, thank you, Magnus, as well. And thank you, Adam, for having me.
Adam, back to you.
Yes, thank you, guys. Brilliant. Well, look, folks, now we have rapid fire talks from a few visiting speakers who are chief people officers. So I'm really looking forward to that. And our first speaker, I think, can be Caroline. Are you there, Caroline?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, all good. It's all working out. So, Caroline, my question for you is, you're the CPO of Snappy Group, which is supporting local stores and providing customers with groceries straight to the door. You're also a founding member of Chief UK, quite famous in the UK, the only private membership network focused on connecting and supporting women executive leaders. And I think it's only 2 years old. It's really, really successful. So my question for you is, in the context of hybrid work becoming the new norm, how has your organization adapted its talent acquisition and retention strategies to attract and keep top talent, while also ensuring diversity and inclusion remain integral?
Thank you, Adam, and morning, everyone. I am joining here from Scotland. Not so sunny today, unfortunately. Listen, our evolution into hybrid is still on the go. We're still learning each week of each year. And it's very much up until this point been kind of accidental necessarily than by design. We're definitely moving more into that by design phase. And similar to what Sam had described, we found ourselves in a place during the pandemic where actually we were able to hire some great talent because we were moving away from being an on-site organization. And so we grew from 30 to 60, and we're now up to about 130 people. And you were asking about attraction and retention in that context. And because our business very much has this strong social purpose about really enabling local stores so that their local communities thrive, we've really dialed up on the social purpose within the organization. So as part of our piece around connecting people into our organization to kind of attract those key talents, we've really taken the opportunity to go, why come and join us? And that's actually been one of the biggest factors that has allowed us to hire talent into the organization. And I would say that from a retention perspective, because one of our core values is about community and community from the inside out, that's meant that we have really focused on some of the things that do need the technology to support and enable it when you work in a hybrid way. So, for example, Sam also mentioned the donut bot on Slack. We use that for virtual coffee. We've got many colleagues in the organization who use the donut bot, and it randomly pairs you with people that you wouldn't otherwise have met. So you have that ability to stay connected and have that sense of belonging to the bigger picture. But the other thing for us that we've done is we've introduced lean-in circles from a perspective of really dialing up sense of belonging. How can people bring their own unique selves, but still feel that sense of belonging at Snappy? And being able to bring people together from all different communities within the organization into this kind of hybrid. It's now really allowed us to do that. One interesting thing is we don't just have lean-in circles for women, which typically most organizations can start with, but we asked our colleagues what they wanted, and actually some of our colleagues said they wanted a lean-in circle for geeks. So we actually have people who are really into whether it's tech, gaming, board games, anything goes, really just to help build up that kind of inclusive environment here at Snappy. There was one thing I did want to draw people's attention to. If you haven't already seen it, there's a really brilliant chart in the most recent McKinsey research on women in the workplace for 2023. And in the chart, it shows the trade-offs between on-site, hybrid, and remote. And it's fascinating because it does look at the dynamics around flexibility, but also like what you also get from the kind of geographical proximity of having people together. So if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend you go and have a look. One of the things that we've learned more recently is really around the mental health impact. That virtual is great, but actually being able to bring it together for that more kind of in kind of personal experience is something that we're really looking at now in our next phase, and making sure our colleagues can come to work and feel kind of looked after also from a mental health perspective. So I think I've probably at least at or over my 3 to 5 minutes. So I'll stop there.
Caroline, no, great job. You've done pretty well, don't worry. No, thank you for that great insights. And I'm from Ireland, so we're, very, very close, Ireland and Scotland. Good to have you. So, folks, before we go to our next speaker, I did do some polls earlier, and I'll just share the results. So, very much reflecting the events we've already done. I think half the people here are founders, and then it's a mix. Some people here are working in HR, some people are part of the team, company executives, and that's very important to know for, I guess, the questions, the other poll answers coming up. So I'll just go back. Work style. So Yes, 85% of people are happy with the hybrid or in office setting of their workforce. Keep in mind that half the people are founders, so they get to decide that themselves, of course. But it's good to see that most people are happy as things stand. And then the final question we asked was hybrid. So fully remote, only 15% of you are fully remote. Half of you are mostly remote. And then we have mostly in office, 34%, fully in office, only 3% of people. So we're really seeing a trend. I think 64% of people here are either fully remote or mostly remote. And then if you take mostly remote or mostly in office, let me do my maths. That's 50 plus 30, 83% of you, I think, are hybrid in some way rather than being fully remote or fully in office. So really, really interesting to see those results. And now I think we'll go to our next speaker, which is Onaolapo. You are Chief People Officer at Filmhouse Group, which is a company managing cinema operations across 13 cinemas. And my question for you is, cinemas often have diverse roles, from frontline staff to corporate positions. So can you please share insights into how your company has tailored hybrid work strategies to accommodate the unique needs of all these different employees with different kinds of jobs, and what have been the key benefits for you, but also the key challenges?
Thank you. So I thought that this question was quite interesting because we only just implemented the hybrid system at Filmhouse. And this was because it did take us some time to figure out how to make it work. Because as you did say in your question, we have some people that are frontline employees. You know, we are a cinema chain. We're open 365 days a year. So we have employees that are front of house. We have employees in the retail roles, in stock roles, and employees that are managing the cinemas. And then we also have another team that sits outside of the cinemas that we call the support team, who are there to support the business, who only work 5 days a week contractually, but they're expected to provide support to a business that is open 365 days a year. So what did we do when we tried to implement the hybrid system? So what we thought was how to accommodate both cadres of employees within our system. So the first thing that we did was we looked at the employees in the support functions, in the support businesses, and we agreed to 1 day a week hybrid system. So they're able to work remotely 1 day, and they're able to work out of the office the remaining 4 days. This is just to ensure that, because obviously it's a test run as well, right? We just want to see how we're easing into it, and to ensure that the support levels that are being provided to the frontline business doesn't drop. And in terms of the benefits and the challenges that we saw in that, I don't know how much it is that you know about Nigeria and the fact that, you know, we are a developing country. So things like internet access is not necessarily where, you know, it should be. It's not necessarily optimal across board. So we had to provide, but we foresaw that as a challenge. So we had to provide tools, ensure that all the laptops were Wi-Fi enabled, because you can get a laptop that you can have a SIM card put in it so that the organization is just able to get data, to have Wi-Fi for the employee to work from home or from anywhere, actually. And what we also did as well was to encourage our employees that are working hybrid to pick a location to work from if it's not possible to work from home. So if it's impossible for you to work from home, you can go to the nearest cinema around you and you can work out of there because there's constant power, there's Wi-Fi, and there's also the opportunity to interact. Now with our employees that are frontline, what did we do? Obviously, they're unable to work remote because you do have to serve the guests as they come in. You know, you do have to be the front line of the business. So we looked at hours and we basically adjusted the shift pattern that they worked, just as a concession of some sort to ensure that they're able to also benefit from having a little bit more time that they could work from home, maybe like on admin, paperwork, if they need to do like ordering and all of those things with the support office, they had a little bit more time. We were able to also ensure that they built in at least one day of the weekend into their off days. They work 5 out of 7 days. But we also then try to rework shifts on the 5 days and ensure that at least one weekend is built into their off days. It's not the most optimal, we know, but it's a challenge that we're still trying to solve, because we do have to take care of our front of house guests, and we do have to ensure that the front facing business that everybody can see is actually running. But we also want all of our employees to get the full benefits of a hybrid workplace. I was looking at the results of the poll, and I thought that was quite interesting, that only 3% of people are fully in office. But I guess industry that they work in, because there's some industries, and the retail industry I think is a big one, where working remotely is just not something that I think will fully take off in those. We keep seeing how we can tweak that. We keep seeing how we can improve to ensure that employees at both ends of the spectrum are happy with the way we're implementing this.
So, Onaolapo, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It's very hard to say all that information in a short amount of time, so thank you for preparing your answer. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So we'll go on to the next speaker then, which is Cav. And Cav, you are the Chief People Officer at Yondr Group, which is a global developer, owner, operator, and service provider of data centers. So we have a great mix of businesses here today, and you're in a global but also decentralized company across 20 different countries, where some roles can be done physically on site but also hybrid. So how do you implement hybrid work and make it fair for everyone?
Sure. I think I'll start with this by setting the background and the context. Yondr was a hybrid remote in-office company before the pandemic. So we had a huge range of things that we did before the pandemic. When you're 300 people across 20 countries, you can probably recognize that some of the offices are very small, single people. And so being in office all the time for a single person doesn't actually make a huge amount of sense. So we had that. What was interesting is as we went into the pandemic, everybody went fully remote. And then as we came out of the pandemic, we went back to what we used to be doing. Now, interestingly, a lot of the people, so if you think about our timeline, we develop land, then we build on that land, and then we operate that land. Some of those elements cannot be done hybrid. You cannot build a building hybrid. You have to be there and actually operating machinery. So it was interesting, as we came out of the pandemic, we got this sense of injustice and unfairness, that some people were heading to 5 days a week, while others were at home 5 days a week, being able to do their drop off and pick up for kids, being able to look after their pets, and whatever the other stuff that allowing you to be at home does. And it didn't exist before the pandemic, interestingly, but it did after, even though we were back to the same thing. So we went back to basics and tried to figure out where does this fairness and injustice come from? And I'm going to slightly contradict a couple of things that have been said by other presenters, but I don't mind that. There's nothing set in stone. During the pandemic, and particularly towards the end of it, we were shown all these studies that that hybrid working, remote working reduces creativity, it reduces teamwork, it reduces productivity. Actually, if we keep our information, our data, and our studies up to date, a lot of the meta studies coming up right now that have looked back at the pandemic and amalgamated multiple studies have found that isn't true. That there is a difference, that some jobs actually creativity went up, some job productivity went up. And actually, it depends more on what you're doing, how you're doing it, and who you're doing it with, than it does the actual overall facts. So looking at those large studies and saying our creativity went down because this study over here says it, isn't actually probably accurate for your company. What's probably accurate is in some places it went up, some places it went down. So we looked at what do we need offices for? Why do we need them? What's interesting about them, and why should we have people there? I'm, as you can probably tell, given I said studies about 5 times, I'm a social scientist. So everything I do is based in science. And I remember at uni, one of my lecturers said to me in one of my some more anthropological lectures, the most addictive thing to one human being is another human being. We're all hardwired to be addicted to each other because we're pack animals, and that's what makes us work, and that's what all our evolutionary instinct went up. So we actually looked at it on a, rather than talking about time-based, and it's interesting, there was some stuff out in the FT recently. It looked at America, and it split roughly a third, a third, a third. A third of companies have said, this is how many days you're going to be in the office, and these are the days. A third of companies have said, we are going to be a hybrid company, and you're going to choose what you want to do. A third of companies haven't defined it yet because they're still trying to figure it out, as many of us are. But what I always find is that the ones that get publicized more are the first third, where they define it and say it, but we're not talking about the other 2/3. So what we did is we said, what's interesting about offices, and it's the addictive human being thing. It's the sense of belonging. It's the sense of community. It's the sense of sort of being part of something. And that's why we've seen engagement levels go down across the board, across most Western economies and workplaces, because a lot of people have lost that sense of community and belonging. So how do we recreate that? And how do we do that in a way that's fair and a way that feels those people who have to be on site 5 days a week are not injustice? And what we did is we went back to basics and said, what are the tasks you need to do? What are the actual tasks, and what are the benefits of doing them in one place versus another place, doing them at home, doing them on site, doing them remotely, doing them in a different country? And it's actually, once you go back to basics, it becomes a little bit easier. So even some of those on-site people from operations and from construction, even they were able to do a hybrid pattern where 1 day a week they would do their paperwork. I think somebody else mentioned that, their admin, their expenses, their reports, and the other 4 days a week they'd be on site, because there's still those things that don't add value. And what we found, and it's been shown out also on a wider basis, is the more complex a task is, the better it is to do it in person. The more simple the task is, the easier it is to do it remotely. And everybody's job, the proportion of complexity versus simplicity is different. You can't make an overarching rule for every individual. So what we did is we went back to the basics, as I said, and in order to create the fairness, is we were absolutely transparent with people. We were like, you look at your job, you tell us how much you can do on site realistically and perform well, how much you can't do on site and perform well, and you tell us, and then we'll implement it, and we'll see where we go and see how it performs and see how it works for those around you. And I think the last thing I want to say, which Caroline brought up as well, is some of the diversity effects of hybrid working, remote working, is the massive increase in personality diversity, in gender diversity, in sexuality diversity that remote working allows was huge. We had introverts saying, finally, I'm able to contribute to meetings. We had women who are mothers finally able to say, look, I can actually commit 100% because I can work in an asynchronous way, not around a 9 to 5 in the office, actually do some in the morning, some in the evenings, and actually take the right times. So in terms of fairness, what we did is we allowed every individual to choose and back themselves and allow our employees to tell us what they can and can't do when they realistically analyze our jobs. I can't say it's perfect. I can't say that there aren't people who wish other people were in the office more. And I can't say that every person's performance went up. But where they didn't, we can actually go back to them and analyze the plans they put together and say, right, what can we change here to try and get you back to the level you were at pre-pandemic? I've definitely gone over my time there, but hopefully that was useful to a few people.
It's fine. It's fine. No, really, really good answers. In fact, we're good for time, so don't worry. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And last but not least, from our visiting speakers, we have Andreia, who is based in London, but she's from Portugal. So, Andreia, obrigado. My question for you is, you are the CEO at Zenite Talents, a company that specializes in staffing professional positions in IT, engineering, marketing, sales, finance, HR, and operations. So my question for you is, given your specialization in professional positions like this, how will the company support both job seekers and employers in navigating the complexities of hybrid work arrangements? And what advice do you have for professionals looking to adapt to this new work environment?
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me, Adam. First of all, I've been in HR most of my career and serving as a chief people officer for the past years. And I resonate with everything that my fellow panelists have said so far. And it's definitely not a simple road, and it's not a cookie cutter. We cannot apply the same strategies from one company to another. Currently, I'm the CEO of Zenite, a newly launched consultancy company specialized in people, sustainability, and technology. And as you said, Adam, one of our key offerings is talent acquisition, where myself, my partners, and our employees use our in-house high-level expertise to find great talents for our clients. So we are committed to facilitating a smooth transition from whatever work environment the company currently has to a hybrid work environment, or a work environment that works for that company, for those talents. And first, we start by looking at an implementation and transition support. We assist companies in implementing these models that actually suit their organizational structure and operational requirements, including the technological setup, the communication protocols, flexible work scheduling systems. And for job seekers, we offer guidance and resources to adapt to the hybrid work arrangements, ensuring that they can actually seamlessly integrate into the new work environment and excel in their roles. Then secondly, skills development for the new work environment. So continuous learning and skills development are crucial for success in a hybrid work environment, as we know. So we do facilitate training programs focusing, amongst others, on remote collaboration, digital literacy, self-management, and of course, because cookie cutter approaches won't cut it, excuse my redundancy, we craft these programs to each of our clients and their talents to assure their effectiveness. Then technological integration. With our deep technological consultancy expertise, we believe that tech, as was said by all of my fellow panelists, is one of the pillars of successful hybrid work arrangements, and therefore we help select and implement the right tools that facilitate this communication, collaboration, project management, amongst others. Very important is health and well-being of our people. It has to be a priority. So we advise on strategies to promote the work-life balance and prevent burnout and maintain a positive work environment. We also tailor our recruitment strategies to meet the demands of the hybrid work model, ensuring that we match the right talent with the right opportunities, whether they are remote, in office, or hybrid. Because every talent is unique, and not all of them are interested in joining a company when they are not comfortable with their work setup. And this is something that must be uncovered and discussed during the recruitment processes, regardless of how on paper the person seems to be a fit for the position that we have. And then future of work insights, and this was also spoken about. We stay ahead of the curve by continuously exploring and understanding the evolving trends of the hybrid work model and other work models, including insights into flexible work arrangements, co-working spaces, the gig economy, which are expected to shape the future of work significantly, as you know. In terms of advice for professionals, which is your second question, Adam, and as a summary, because most were already mentioned by my final panelists. So first of all, embrace continuous learning. Upskilling and reskilling must be there if you want to stay relevant and if you want to adapt to the new work environment. Manage change appropriately. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore change. Don't ignore transformation. Adapt according to your needs and take your people on that journey. Leverage technology. Communicate effectively. Honing your communication skills is crucial, as a remote and hybrid work relies heavily on clear, concise, and effective communication. Assure your facilities, offices, if you have them, are prepared for the hybrid model like Synthesia are. Create a community and relevant in-person interactions. Leverage the hybrid work model to support your sustainability goals. There's so many ways where having a hybrid workforce and can actually improve your sustainability metrics. So leverage that. And obviously, most importantly, maintain a healthy work-life balance for your employees, establish clear boundaries and between work and personal life to assure that they maintain a healthy work-life balance. So we'll continue to support job seekers and employers at Zenite and creating a conducive environment for growth and success in the hybrid era. So thank you so much, Adam. Thank you so much for my fellow panelists and for the other attendees as well.
Andreia, thank you. Obrigado. Really appreciate that. And yeah, you put something into my mind as well. A lot of positions out there are advertised as hybrid, but what is hybrid? Is it mostly in the office or mostly in person? So I think when it comes to recruitment, a lot of people have to be very clear in terms of the companies, and also candidates should ask what exactly does hybrid mean. So thank you very much for that. And I think we can finish with one more question then for Magnus. So if you have the time. So my question for you would be, how do you see the role of automation and digital tools within the context of a hybrid work setting? And we'll do that to finish the conference. Thank you.
Yeah, I look at technology as being there to make you a better you. And I see that continually happening. And the ability to collaborate seamlessly in anywhere in the world, to be able to whiteboard, the ability to be able to now summarize a meeting in seconds because the AI helped you and you can review it and change it. That just helps you be a better you, to allow you to do the things that are really important to deliver your mission. So I see that continuing to happen, being a better you, helping you to reinvent your businesses, take your business newer, and making your teams happy and your customers happy.
Brilliant. Well, good, very nice words to finish the conference. Well, look, I really enjoyed that. And we finished on time as well. So thank you most of all to the speakers for taking part. Thank you as well, of course, to everyone who gave up an hour of their time today. I hope it was valuable, and we'll be in touch following the event. So thank you, everyone.